Greetings, YouTube. The doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Marvel Contest of Champions. And today we are asking ourselves, should we rank Adam Warlock up or not? And of course, we always do this as a 6-star rank 5. We look at them and then we assess whether, if we get a 6-star, if we need to awaken them, and if we need to rank, if we can, or we want to, or we should is really the question, rank them up. All right, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment. I actually don't have an Adam Warlock. He's a relatively new champ. He's only been around for a couple of months. I'm just going to go through his kit quite a little bit just to take a look at him. We've got him tricked out as a 6-star rank 5 who is at a Sig 0 right now, but you can see the range on his signature levels. And it looks to me like Adam Warlock is okay. And what rating? That's really the important thing we're going to give him. Right now we're going to give him a C. There's a couple of things in his kit that I don't like. It's very complicated. And there's certain things that you cannot do or should not do with him that are pretty much like a bread and butter of other champs. So we'll get into that. So we're going to give him a C for now. After I get him and I have had a chance to play around with him a little bit, see how he works, kick the tires around, maybe we'll change or edit our rating and talk about maybe why, if we were to rank them up further. Right now, with a champ that's a C, I might rank them up to a rank 2 at the most, just to see how well they work, and then maybe a rank 3, but he definitely is not a champ that I would want to rank to 4 or 5. Now, we are always comparing these champions to Groot. Where is our Groot? There is King Groot. There's our Groot. So Groot at a rank 5 is 60,000 and an attack rating of 3,800 with a crit rating of 14 and a crit damage of 150. So let's get back to Adam Warlock then. So he does not have health of 60,000. He has a health of 48,000, but he does have the ability to do some regeneration, particularly if he is awakened. So he is a little less. He's a little bit more squishy than most of your other champs. He has an attack rating of 4,500, which is pretty standard. The Groot is a low attack rating, and then his crit chance is a 23%, which is substantially higher, and his crit rating is 180, which is substantially higher. So all in all, he's not too bad in those places, but he is a bit squishy. So let's look at his abilities. He's got this thing called Power Meter, so he is good against basically tech champs that are going to try and power burn him. He gains 2.5% of a bar power each second, but his combat rate is reduced by 25%. His combat power rate, I'm sorry. So he gains power over time. When his power is stolen, he stops gaining power. So that's if he's going to go up against a Mystic. So he's not great against Mystics. Wouldn't bring this. He actually has vulnerabilities against Mystics. When his power is drained or burned, not stolen, drained or burned, so against things like Red Skull or Penny Parker, he gains a non-stacking 50% energized passive for 12 seconds. So he actually gets more power when he strikes. Against non-mystics, his ability power rate cannot be reduced. So again, he's pretty good in that instance against tech champs. He's got this thing called the Sovereignty Counter. So landing Adam's light attack 2, that means the second attack, so you go medium, light, or special attack 1 or special attack 2 starts the Sovereign counter for 2 seconds. When the opponent receives a hit from any source, the counter is refreshed and increases by 1. So I think if you hit with your medium and then light, and then light, your third light, and medium, then that starts the counter going up. Breaking the opponent's block with the first hit of the Sovereignty counter increases it by 10. I'm not really sure how you would do that. So if you got any questions about that, put that down in the in the comments, or if you have any comments about that. As the sovereignty counter increases, Adam gains non-stacking buffs lasting 2 seconds, refreshed when the opponent receives a hit from any source. So you can keep these up, and they keep going up as long as you're hitting the opponent. And that's kind of the theme of this character, is he's not supposed to sit around. He's supposed to be very aggressive, and he's supposed to hit the opponent. So the first hit, you gain an unblockable. So I think that lets you go through and get more counters. If you get 10 hits, he gets a true damage, allowing attacks to bypass armor and resistances. So there is that. There's armor over here, and then energy and physical resistances. 20 hits is gain a precision buff, increasing crit rating by 20,000. So right now his crit rating is a 673. It becomes a 20,800. So it's like a 100% chance to crit. At 30 hits, he gains a Fury, which increases his attack rating by 10,000. That's pretty good. And at 40 hits, you end the sovereignty counter and all buffs granted by it, and gain a stackable Fury buff. So you end the sovereignty counter, and then all those previous buffs are gone, and you gain a stackable Fury buff, which increases the attack rating by 6,800 for 60 seconds. Paused while the sovereignty counter is active, and you get 2 stacks of that. So you could essentially go through and get another one of these. Sovereignty counter and all the above non-stacking buffs are refreshed and paused while Adam is inside the stasis pod. We'll talk about that. When the sovereignty counter expires, it goes into a cooldown for 10 seconds and grants a sovereignty buff. That's this thing right here that lasts for 30 seconds. This buff is paused while the sovereignty counter is active. So once this lasts for 30 seconds, and then this thing, when the cooldown is in, you can start the counter over again, and this thing starts to be paused. While additionally activating the parry mastery stun effect will end the sovereignty counter and all above stat. So that's where this is the big flaw in this character, is you can't parry with him. You can't do well-timed blocks if you have the parry in your mastery. So that's the Stupefy. And so you have to be very aggressive to get these sovereignty counters, and you can't parry, and that is unfortunately a big thing. As a defender, when Adam or his opponents are struck by or block attacks 20 times, he gains a sovereignty buff. So what is this sovereignty buff? It can't have its ability accuracy reduced or nullified, staggered, or fate sealed. New personal buffs become sovereign. Sovereignty buffs cannot have their ability accuracy reduced. You gain immunity to, this is the main one, nullify, stagger, and fate seal caused by champion. So he kind of goes into this anti-mystic node. And then stun buffs inflicted by the opponent's parry mastery suffer 100% ability accuracy, so which means they will stun you, unfortunately. So they suffer 100. I think this should say 100% ability accuracy decrease. So I think they turn off. All right, so let's talk about the states. That basically, so his whole shtick is you want to start this sovereignty counter and go, and be very aggressive and not do any parries. If stasis pod once per fight as a defender, if he started the fight with more than 25% of his max health, when he reaches 25, he gets the stasis pod. Once per fight as an attacker, double tapping block causes Adam to enter his stasis pod. So what does the stasis pod do? It's locked into place and cannot use any attacks or be interrupted. So this is 2 seconds. All incoming damage is reduced by 75%. Instantly regenerate 74% of all incoming damage unless suffering from soul barb, which is mainly coming from Baron Mordo. Lower the ability accuracy of damaging debuffs except soul barb and heal block effects by 100%. So you want to do this when you get one of these. When entering the stasis pod, gain an energy protection buff, granting immune to shock. So he gets basically immune to all this stuff. When emerging, he gains an invulnerability for 0.25 seconds, and then he immediately emerges if they use their special 3. All right, then he gets Master of Souls. So while this thing is active and it's going up, you inflict a 20% taunt. When the sovereignty counter cooldown is complete, you inflict a 20% intimidate for 4 seconds. And these will affect ability accuracy and things like that, and damage. Special attack 1, So it does damage, and when Adam has a personal precision buff, so you only want to use this after 20 hits. The final hit inflicts stun debuff for 1.25 seconds, which allows you to just basically hit them again for another like 5 combo. Special attack 2. After this attack, enter the stasis pod for 2 seconds. This ability can trigger multiple times during the fight, so it can trigger more than the once. And the energy protection gained from the stasis pod only lasts 2 seconds, so it lasts as long as the stasis pod. And then special attack 3, gain a non-stacking fury buff, increasing attack rating by 6,800 for 60 seconds, max stacks 1. So this automatically allows you to get the 40 hit thing. Now, what does he get for his signature ability? So when he enters the stasis pod, he also gains a regeneration buff. So he's resistant to all this damage, and he instantly regenerates incoming damage, and then he regenerates more. Unless he's suffering from his soul barb effect. It's not a lot because it only lasts for 2 seconds. But it is up to 10% of missing health. So you could regenerate up to 4,800 missing health. The other thing he gets is when the opponent strikes into the pod, they have a 10 to 100% chance to be inflicted with a stun for 2 seconds. So that feeds into the regeneration. So if they hit you and you're max sig, they're stunned for the duration of the stasis pod, and then you get to regenerate 4,800. You can do this anytime you do a special attack 2. Now, does he have any decent synergies? He's got one with, I sometimes use Silver Surfer. So when a champion gains 4 or more buffs, gain an aptitude buff. That's not fantastic. He's got a Guardians of the Galaxy one. I might use him with Rocket. He gets a crit rating, which he doesn't really need a crit rating. I wouldn't use any of these champs. Lab Rats, I would use Anti-Venom and Mr. Negative. And he gets a plus 10 Fury potency buff. He gets that here and here. And if you use Anti-Venom, 10% attack rating during special attack 2. Which he uses, does the 2, and then he goes into the stasis pod. And then for Mantis, gains block version. So he doesn't have fantastic, great synergies. Again, I give him a C. I would probably rank him to rank 2 and then leave him alone and see how well he works. I got to play around with him a little bit to figure it out, but I don't really give this one a high rating or recommend ranking him to very high. So, all right, that's what we got for everybody today. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and we'll catch everybody later.